Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com.
Is a signed document legally binding if one was unaware of its content? There are many examples in which this can come up. Many times when we're signing on a lease, a loan, a rental contract, use of a service, we're given documents to sign, and quite often they shove us many pages, sometimes 50 to 100 pages to sign, with very finely written words. And the question is asked, does this really have legal halachic meaning? That if you sign on it, everything it says is legally binding? Or do we say no? One can claim one was not aware of all the details, and he can argue on different points even after the contract has been signed. A case example which came up. One signed a rent contract for a home which stated that if he leaves before the contract is up, he must pay rent for every month that a new tenant does not come in. And this was written amongst the fine print in the long 10-page rent contract document. If he leaves early before the rent is up, can he then claim in court, in Bezdin, I was unaware of this detail, I didn't agree to it when I signed? So we have a clear ruling in many sources, as we will enumerate, that one who signs a document obligates himself to all the financial matters and conditions written in the document, even if he is unaware of any of its content. When you put your signature down, you are agreeing to what it says, irrelevant of if you know what it says or not. Thus, even if the document is written in a foreign language and you don't know that language, and we have proof that you don't know that language, as witnesses say he had no clue what it said inside the document, it's still legally binding and can be legally enforced if he signed on it. Saying you didn't understand the implication is not a valid claim, and saying that I didn't read the fine print is not a valid claim. So is ruled by the Mechaber Cheshin Mishpat 45.3, 61.13, the Ramon Even Ezra 66.13, Cheshin Mishpat 61.13, 68.2, the Alter Rebbe in Hilchos Ribis, Halacha 46 in parentheses, and is based on the Rishonim Shuvas HaMiyuchasis to the Ramban in Shuvas 77, Shulchanarachharav in various sources. Now, does everyone agree to this? Are there any cases of exception? And what is the reason behind the ruling? So we'll begin with the reason. From a careful study of the sources mentioned above, we find two reasons brought down which sound similar but are very different, and carry with it a practical ramification. One reason brought in the Tshuva of the Ramban, recorded in the Mechaber 45, Smeh 45, the Shach, implication of the Alter Rebbe, in Hilchos Ribis, is very simple. When you sign a document, you're in essence saying, I agree to everything that's there. So you can't say, but I wasn't aware. You just said you don't care that you're not aware. You're agreeing to whatever it says. In other words, the Torah recognizes the ability of someone to rely on another person for legal matters. And since you agreed to sign the document, you agreed and relied on the person who wrote the document. And you can't retract that later and say, oh, I didn't know. You gave him legal trust. So explains the Ramban and the Smeh and the Shach and others. However, we find another reason mentioned by the Ramah and in the Tshuvas of the Rashba. And that is in addition to what we said before, they write, as certainly the witnesses or those present explained to him the content of the document, and therefore we don't believe him when he says, I didn't know. It's a very different reason. The first reason says, I don't care if you don't know. You trusted and obligated yourself. The second reason says, we don't believe you didn't know. You did know. The practical halachic ramification is, what if in truth we have proof that he didn't know? According to the first reason, the Ramban, the Mechaber, the Alter Rebbe, we don't care, he's still liable. According to the second reason, perhaps we can be lenient to invalidate that specific condition. So based on this, we find the following cases of leniency amongst Paiskim, based on the second reason. The Rashban 1 Shuva rules, if there's an Anan Sahadi, which means circumstantial evidence to prove that the person had no clue of what was being signed on, he's not held liable. The case example giving there was a Kala who's illiterate and agreed to the signature of the Ksuba, which obligated her in a certain manner. Then when she found out, she didn't agree to it. And he sided with the Kala side in that Shuna. Likewise, many Poskim bring this down the halacha. It's recorded in the Knesset Agdoila, Ginas Vradim, Mishnah Halachis, and others. Knesset Agdoila brings another circumstance where you can be lenient, and that's if arguing over a secondary claim detail in the document. It says regarding all the main details that you can't say I didn't know, but regarding a small secondary detail, by that he can say he didn't know, even though he signed. Practically, how do we rule? Because all the above was only in accordance to the second reason, second approach. So clearly, according to the Alter Rebbe, the Machaber, the Ramban, etc., there's no room for all this. In all cases, in all circumstances, you signed a document, you're held liable to everything it says. Saying I wasn't aware won't help. However, some Bati Dinim sometimes use the lenient approach in their rulings. It's quite rare, but it can happen, depending on the judges on the tribunal. And they will rely on the other poskim we mentioned to sometimes invalidate a certain detail. It's important to note, though, that Shut, Betzalel, Ashkenazi of the Shita Mekubetzes, Avad Yosef and Yabia Omer both explain that the above leniencies we gave in the second approach is only in the case that witnesses sign and not in the case that the actual person signed. But if you actually signed the document, they say there is never ever room for any invalidation of a detail, and they say that there's never even a dispute in such a situation. Bottom line is, before you sign anything, be careful, make sure you know what it says, agree to what it says, and only then place your signature. As saying later that I didn't know will not hold any water.
Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com. Our free services of making Torah knowledge available to the public depends on donors like you. Please help us continue our work through making even a small contribution at Shulchanaruchharav.com under the Daily Halacha Dedication section or in the subscription page. Also, check out our online courses and many Sefarim available for purchase that will both enhance your Torah knowledge and help support our work.